Hello to everyone watching and listening. My guest today is Lee Meade from the Wealth and Hellbeing podcast, as well as the atmospheric black metal band Cistvaen. Lee, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. I wanted to record a conversation between us because obviously we've got quite a few mutual kind of experiences and interests. We're both sober and we're both in black metal bands.
Yeah.
So I've just wanted to talk about the podcast to begin with. So for Wealth and Hellbeing, what prompted you to start it?
Well, it's interesting you're saying it's a podcast. I'm not sure. I would call it a podcast at this point.
Mm,
Podcasts to me would be more at least two people talking to each other, maybe like a host and a guest like this, or
yeah,
two hosts, like two promoters, one pod. I don't know if you watch them guys.
I need to give that a go.
But yeah, the videos I've just kind of, I mean, I've been making videos since 2016 about metal music festivals, festival previews. And I kind of just there's other people I think do that kind of content better and more consistently, like
Mm,
Metal Trenches or Quest for Metal. They're ones I enjoy, and I thought I wanted to do something different. Um, and then I'm like 5 years into my wellness journey or
mm,
my well-being journey, um, and sometimes people ask me questions. Oh, how did you lose all the weight, for example? I'm sure we'll get into these things a bit later, but I find it hard to be very concise because
mm.
it's so many factors that I can't even begin to explain. So I thought I'll just do long form videos explaining how I did stuff.
Mm.
And then I thought, well, I don't want to come off all preachy. And then there's all these other fitness and well-being influences out there. How do I make my content like more unique? And then
Yeah.
my other massive passion is metal music.
Mm.
And as I'm going to gigs and looking around, I can't help but notice the physical health of the average gig goer, festival goer doesn't seem to be, I don't know, like top notch.
Yeah.
Just from maybe it's a bit judgmental to think that, but I can't see healthy habits as going side by side with metal.
Yeah.
And I kind of started to wonder, I wonder why that is. Is
Mm.
it because we're all a bit kind of uptight about our metal identity? And so I wanted to kind of break that. Maybe things like meditation and yoga are seen
Mm.
as a bit hippy dippy by the average metalhead.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to break that stereotype a bit and talk talk about that kind of stuff and refer to metal where I can. And it's coming
Yeah.
from me who is a metalhead, and hopefully I can connect with some people that way.
Yeah, like sort of putting it in a metal context. It's definitely a trend I've seen as well within the metal community as a whole. I mean, you and I have both kind of experienced the fact that it's got quite a big drinking culture.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
you've got whole bands where their entire theme is about drinking. And
Yeah.
I'm not bashing that or disparaging that in any way. But it's it is interesting that I think when you do kind of decide to take a break from alcohol or go sober completely, there are people I've come across within metal who almost are like, why are
Mm.
you doing that? Like it's a bad thing. So I can definitely see wanting to come at it from a kind of metalhead perspective. Because as well,
Yeah.
you're kind of showing, I'm part of this culture as well, and might have even held some of these attitudes previously.
Yeah.
But then, you at the same time, you've made all these changes and you're wanting to kind of share the benefits that you've had. Um, Speaking of well-being benefits, I know you do running as well. Like you invited me, I think, to that metal runners group.
Oh yeah.
How long have you been doing that for? And have you,
Running.
yeah,
Well, I think I started my first run 2018.
mm,
So we're coming up to 7 years of running. Um, And I started because my friend Chris, who was the previous guitarist in my band Cistvaen,
mm,
he he actually lost a load of weight through going running,
mm,
to the point where in the small town that we lived in, where there's only like three metalheads. So I saw this guy across the car park in Tesco, who's long hair, black shirt, and slim frame. And I thought, oh, who's this guy? Who's this new metalhead in town? And I
mm,
got closer, and it was Chris. I just didn't even recognize him because he'd lost
yeah.
so much weight.
Mm,
And the reason he's significant is because he actually has, I don't know how much I can really say. He can't choose what to eat. He has
yeah,
some
yeah.
kind of condition that makes him only really be able to eat crunchy substances, like.
Right.
And so it's like basically a diet of crisps and
Mm,
anything dry and crunchy. And so I saw his results, and I thought, wow, if he can lose the weight by running, and he has a really like not got much control over his diet, what's my excuse? Because
mm,
I can choose to eat most things. I have the
yeah.
luxury of eating fruit and veg if I want, and I
Mm,
realized I was lucky to not suffer from what he suffers from, and so by being inspired by him, I went out running. Yeah, and
mm,
I did it once, and I didn't go again for a week. Went again, and I was just a tad faster than I
yeah.
was the one before, and I got hooked on that feeling of
Mm,
getting a bit better each time.
yeah.
And yeah, that's how I lost the weight. So when I started, I was 18 and a half stone,
Mm,
which translates to 120 kilos.
mm,
Oops. And now I am, gosh, about 80 kilos or 11 and a half stone, something like that.
yeah. Mm.
And I lost all that in 1 year.
It's fantastic. Yeah, like I remember I think we first met when you were playing in Edenfall and
Oh, yeah.
we were on the same bill in
Oh, that's right.
Bolton because I was playing in Atramores at the time. And yeah, I remember you looked rather different then to how you do now. So yeah, well done. Um yeah, regarding Wealth and Hellbeing as well. Yeah, I did call it a podcast. Maybe that's not really what it is. Um, I did wonder if you had any ideas for including any guests in the future or sort of future plans for it, like what you plan to do with
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. I mean, I've just literally a few days ago discovered Cheyenne's podcast
Mm,
from
yeah.
Trivax. I had heard that he was doing it, but
Mm,
I just, it just happened to come up on my feed
yeah.
because, again, two promoters, one pod. One of the guys from that is Gavin from Damnation.
Oh, nice.
He just had him on as a guest, and so I watched that one. And the topics that they cover, or that Cheyenne is interested in, seems to resonate with me as well. So
Yeah.
I dove into some of his older podcasts, and I thought, and that's when I started to think, maybe I would maybe bounce off of a
Yeah.
guest a bit more naturally
Mm,
rather than recording it by myself when I've just got notes and I'm like stumbling over my words and having to
mm,
say things three times just to get it right, and then you got tons of editing to do afterwards.
mm,
But so yeah, guests, I'd probably get Ben from Raven Records.
mm.
Are you aware of Raven Records?
Is that the one in London that doubles has like a sober bar as part of it
Yeah,
as well? Yeah,
that's right.
I have heard of that, and in fact, I heard of it on Cheyenne's podcast because
Yes, he and
yeah,
Chloe were guests on Cheyenne's. That's one of the
mm,
ones I watched recently.
yeah,
He's full of brilliant ideas. He's been sober. He describes himself as a recovering alcoholic of
mm,
17 years. And I really want to pick his brains about like why he specifically like labels himself like that. Because
yeah,
I guess in my head, if I was sober for 17 years, I wouldn't think to say I'm recovering.
mm,
I'm sure he has a
yeah.
reason for that. I'd like to ask.
Maybe it's something that works for him. Like if he kind of views it from that mindset, maybe that helps him. But yeah, no, I imagine they'd be really cool to have on.
Yeah.
I'd love to visit Raven Records at some point. I haven't actually been to London for quite some time now. I don't think since before COVID. So I
Oh,
might need
really?
to yeah, yeah. So I might need to rectify that.
There's some good events. You've got Incineration or
Mm.
Cosmic Void.
Oh yeah,
It's good reasons to come down.
yeah, it's quite a lot. I'd love to play London as well. Like I've never actually played London with any bands, which is mad, really, considering I've been in bands for quite a long time.
It's kind
Um,
of it's kind of its own ecosystem here.
yeah,
It's a little disconnected from the rest of the UK.
mm, yeah. Well, I'm sure it'll happen. But yeah, do you have any more sort of plans for Wealth and Hellbeing in the near future that you'd like to share?
Yeah, so I've got 4 videos up at the moment. I think the last one was like 4 weeks ago now.
Mm,
Again, it's just like trying to find the time in my schedule to edit stuff.
mm.
So I recorded something a few days ago and then I was speaking for like an hour and 8 minutes.
Oh
So
yeah,
now I've got to like edit that down
mm.
to something more, digestible.
Digestible. Yeah,
Yeah. Uh,
yeah,
yeah. So these first 4 or 5 videos, I just kind of gave a little bit of my backstories just so anyone watching might know where I'm coming from.
mm,
And I thought that was important to me because if you tune into like any fitness podcasts or whatever, the people that have kind of reached that stage where they think that they can then help others, they're often so far down the fitness route that maybe they've lost a little bit of touch from where they came from.
yeah,
And that's what I try my hardest not to do is I've still got to really remember where I came from. Like you were
yeah,
saying earlier about being sober and you were describing some behaviors like wondering why someone wouldn't be drinking alcohol.
mm,
And you said that you might have done that in
yeah,
the past. I definitely have as well.
yeah. I
And
have.
I don't want to forget that that's kind of who I used to be.
Mm,
And
yeah,
I mean that if someone else is in that stage and they think that drinking is really, really important and can't understand why someone would go sober, I was there once. And so
yeah,
I
yeah.
hope that means that you can see yourself in my past self and know that it's possible to change
Mm,
rather than maybe see me 5 years into my journey and think, oh, that's not attainable, that's not
yeah.
possible.
Mm.
I'm trying to strike that balance.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It is possible to go, I guess you could call it too far the other way
Mm,
and kind of be so much in the world of sort of fitness and well-being and stuff that you forget where you came from.
yeah.
You
And
know,
now people
you
can't relate to you.
exactly, and you can't really see that mindset for yourself anymore.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
it's been really important for me to release my videos in this specific order so then people know where I'm coming from. And then the last couple of videos have been about like essential mindset tools that
mm,
you're going to need before you even start. So I know it sounds a bit Disney, but you've got to believe you can do it
yeah,
before anything else. Because if you don't believe you can do it, you're going to make every excuse not to do
not
it
to do it.
without even knowing that you're making excuses. They feel like real reasons to you.
Mm,
I suffered from asthma. I could have said, I can't go running because I've got asthma.
yeah,
Or you can say, I'm going to go running despite my asthma. And actually, my asthma has reduced greatly thanks to
mm,
running. And
yeah,
um, so, yeah, this last one's going to round off kind of the mental tools.
yeah.
And then I'm going to go more into like the actual diet because my diet's changed completely since 5 years
Mm,
ago. Actual running and then meditation, yoga, all of it just
mm,
um, in an order that I hope makes sense to somebody. And
mm.
it's kind of the order that I did things in as well. So
Yeah, that makes total sense. I'd be very interested in the meditation one actually, because that's something I've got into over the past couple of years. I think obviously there can be a spiritual component to meditation if you want there to be. There doesn't have to
mm,
be. There's plenty of tools like I forget the name of the one now, but it's quite a headspace. That's the one.
headspace. Yeah.
Yeah, where you can do it in a very kind of non-spiritual way and just see it as uh, a tool,
Yeah.
just part of your repertoire, and it's perfectly valid for that. But yeah, there can be a spiritual side to it if that's something that you're interested in, and it's something that I've kind of touched on and explored a bit in my life, and I think it does tie into black metal a little bit as well. Like I feel like black metal's quite a spiritual type of music
It
in the way
is.
that it connects to you.
It's definitely meditative. Like I'm at the
Mm,
stage with my running now that I don't have any physical barriers to complete like a 10K on a regular basis. So
mm,
now when I'm out running, I can focus on music, and I choose to listen to those long atmospheric black metal kind of albums
mm.
because you just lose your mind. And it was
Yeah.
actually, have you ever heard of Runner's High?
Yes. And I've
So
experienced it.
have you?
Mm.
Brilliant. It's great. I experienced it once, and I just lost 6 kilometers of my run
Yeah.
just, and then I kind of snapped back into existence. And I
Mm.
was actually listening to Abduction's Black Blood,
Nice.
and that's, I don't remember listening to the album. I don't remember doing 6 kilometers. The only reason I came back to earth is because my foot hurt a little bit, and I got this pain
Mm.
signal, and I was like, "Oh, I'm nearly finished." What?
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, black metal is really quite a meditative genre.
Mm. Absolutely. And yeah, with runners high, yeah, I've definitely experienced that as well. I think for me, it's been when I've gone on particularly long runs,
Yeah.
like 10K or more.
Mm.
And it's when you get to a certain point where you're like, my body's telling me that I can't do any more, but I need to do more. And at this point, it's actually easier to keep going than it is to
Yeah.
stop, because if I
Hmm.
stop, it's longer till I get home. So
Yeah.
yeah, but
So,
yeah, sorry, go on.
yeah, I mean, I purposefully run in a straight line down the canal near my house, away
Mm,
from my house.
yeah.
And I obviously I've run half the distance I want to do in total.
Mm,
So when I'm coming back, like you say, if I start to feel tired, what option do I have?
that's it.
I can either walk, which will take, it's so much longer to walk than it is to run,
Yeah.
or you can just keep running. And if you stop to take a breath, sometimes that's worse than if you just keep going.
Yeah.
And yeah, just focus on your music or the breath.
Mm,
Breathing is something I mean, I heard about this breathing technique. I can't remember where from now,
mm,
where it's you breathe in for 4 counts and out for 6. So I do it
yeah.
with my steps when I'm running,
Okay.
and and I kind of thought that, as we were saying, black metal is quite meditative,
Oh yeah.
and the breathing in for 4 and breathing out for 6, it wasn't matching with the music I was listening to. So I had this idea that I wanted to write a riff that's in that
Nice.
time signature.
Yeah.
So one of the unreleased songs that will be on like the next album is got this, like, well, what would the time signature be? Like 10/4, but it's broken up into 4 and a 6.
Mm.
And I just imagine this scenario in the future where we play it live, and before we play it, it was like, I want to see everybody breathing to this next song.
Yeah, yeah. Do a meditation with me. Yeah. Do you know what? I could imagine a band like Cult of Fire doing that though, because they're
Yeah,
obviously
yeah,
quite Eastern mysticism influenced.
yeah.
So yeah, it's not
Suit
that out there really. But no, that's really cool. Yeah. So speaking of black metal, I think we should talk about Cistvaen a bit. So in terms of starting Cistvaen, I assume you founded it. I'm pretty
yeah.
certain that you did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what inspired you to start Cistvaen?
So I guess it was twofold. What was it? Around 2016, I never used to like black metal.
No.
The only black metal I was into was the kind of Cradle of Filth and Dimmy Borgir.
Mm.
Um, and then I found, I think it was, I think it was Winterfilleth's The Dark Hereafter.
Oh yeah.
And I'd known of them for ages, but they never clicked. But they clicked on that album.
Mm.
I can't really put my finger on it. And then Alcest released Kodama, and that was
Yeah.
more lent more into the black metal side of things. I'd always loved Agalloch,
Mm.
and then Ghostbath were at Bloodstock that year,
Ah yeah.
and so all these kind of elements kind of came about in 2016, and so
Mm.
that's when I fell in love with the genre, and I was in Edenfall around that time, and I was playing live shows with them, and people would come up to me and pay you a compliment because,
Mm.
oh, the great show and all that, and I didn't know how to take the compliment because it wasn't really my band.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
so I realized that my passion actually lies in writing music.
Mm. Yeah.
So I decided to leave Edenfall and start atmospheric black metal. Specifically, it was the ending of Oiseau de Poix from Alceste's. That's Alceste's song from
Yeah,
Kodama.
it's a good song.
That ending, that outro, with the slow kind of blast, soft blast beats, tremolo, and then the nice melody comes in. I was like,
Mm.
that. And look, I've really got to try hard not to self-deprecate, right? But my guitar playing is not very flashy. I'm not fast and technical with my playing. I'm
Yeah.
quite stripped back and quite simple. And I thought that sounded easy to play,
Mm.
um, and yet really effective and very emotional. And I thought, I love emotional music. I want to
Yeah.
pour my own emotions into something. So I don't know if you heard our demo, Cistvaen with a K.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Like you might be able to hear the similarities in that
Mm.
to that Alcest song. And so yeah, it started from there. I was living in Devon at the time. In Devon, you've got Dartmoor.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know if you've ever been there, but it's absolutely stunning place. It's a national
Mm.
park. It's very high above sea level, so there's like no
Mm.
trees that can really grow there. I guess the oxygen levels are too low or something. I don't
Mm.
remember the reason, but it's just a barren wasteland with rocks and heather and I think maybe hawthorns. I'm not sure if I'm getting the plants right, but
Yeah.
when I first went out there, we parked up, got out the car, and it was just so silent. There's no wind, there were no people, no cars, no distant traffic. There's no trees to actually like rustle.
Mm.
And I just thought, wow, this is like this silence. I'd never really experienced proper silence
Yeah.
outdoors. And then like looking at the bleak landscapes and everything, I just thought this, it just filled me with something, some
Mm.
inspiration. I thought, oh, this is what I'm going to write about,
Nice.
or what's going to inspire me to write melodies anyway.
Mm.
So then I searched for a name that had something to do with the Dartmoor, found about these graves that are called Cistvaens, which
Mm.
translates to like chest grave, which are these ancient box stone boxes with a slab lid that were
Mm.
graves from the, I guess, the Druid times,
Yeah.
whenever Stonehenge was made.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, then I found some members and we kind of got writing.
Fantastic. Yeah, that kind of answers my next question, partially anyway, which was what your main influences are musically. So you mentioned Alcest, that's one that I really like. Same with
Mm.
Agalloch. Interesting that you mentioned Ghostbath actually as well. I remember that exact performance from Bloodstock 2016. And I think you know why as well, because it gave birth to that bloody screaming goat
Yeah,
meme that I think
yeah,
still does the rounds on Bloodstock
it
campsites
does.
even to
The
this
thing
day.
is, when you were actually down the front in the crowd, it wasn't
Mm.
that, it didn't stand out that much. It was
No.
mixed fairly well, but there must have been something about that, the frequency of that voice that
Mm.
traveled, and everyone in the
Yeah.
campsite, that's all they could hear was just this
Yeah.
screaming.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. And I think as well, because obviously Bloodstock's a very mixed bag in terms of metal subgenres.
Yeah,
So a lot of the people there would never have experienced depressive black metal in any way, and have
no.
no idea what to make of that vocal. So I think that's why it got the response it did. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's quite funny.
I remember enjoying it when I saw it. I
I
don't
loved
think,
it.
yeah, yeah. I don't think they really do that vocal as much live anymore from when I've seen them more recently. But they've got a new song out called, I think it's Rose Necklace.
Yeah, I've not
But yeah,
not listened to that one. I know that the performance we're talking about, Bloodstock,
mm,
that album they just released, Moon
Moon Lover.
Lover,
Mm.
there's no lyrics.
No.
And so that's again why it just sounded like screams. But I think on the last album and this new album, there's lyrics now.
Mm.
So and yeah, the
Nice.
high pitched scream is mixed with other types of
Yeah.
vocals. But that Moon Lover album, I love that. I haven't listened to the new
Mm.
song. I tend to, with certain bands, I prefer to wait for the whole album
Yeah.
to listen to it start to finish. I
That
usually
makes
save
sense.
albums for my runs, and then that encourages
Mm.
me to go for a run.
Yeah.
It's like I might not even feel like going for a run, but I really want to listen to the new album,
Mm.
and that pushes me out the door.
That's a good idea. Yeah, like I do a lot of walking, so I've been walking to and from work recently, and I'll often listen to music when I walk to and from work, or when I walk to and from the gym as well. So yeah, that can be my listening to a new album time.
Mm.
Speaking of new albums, have you heard the new Cradle of Filth one?
Yes, several times over.
Yeah, did you enjoy it?
I did. It was a little, it was almost like good track, bad track, good track, bad track.
Mm.
And then at the end, you've got the Draculae one. I can't
Oh yeah,
remember. Exsanguine
Dracula.
Draculae,
Yeah.
which really genuinely sounds like it's something left over from Cruelty.
Mm.
That I just the structure, the blast beats, and then I
Yeah.
went back and listened again, and then the ones that I thought were bad on my first listen, I warmed up to them,
Mm.
and now on the third, fourth listen, I think the whole thing actually there's not a bad moment.
Mm.
I think it captures some of that atmosphere
Mm.
from the earlier Cradle, like the Midian kind of album, always reminded me of like the kind of more gothic side
Yeah.
of things, like moonlit graveyards and stuff.
Mm.
It's got a bit of that that's not been there the last few albums.
Yeah.
But it's also its own identity as well,
Mm.
because obviously they changed guitar player and keyboard player.
Keyboard
So
player. Yeah.
the only thing I think is disappointing is again there's the lack of high pitched Danny screams.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean,
I
what can you expect? He's at 50 now.
well, that's it. Yeah, he's yeah, I think 50, 51, or 25 as he says
Yes.
himself. But yeah, no, I had a sort of similar reaction. I think it's pretty strong. I think when it hits, it really hits. Like I really like Exsanguine Dracula. I like You Are My Nautilus, although I'm not that
Yeah.
keen on the title. I like the song.
Same.
And what was the other one? Non Omnis Moria. I liked that
That's
one
that
as well.
ballady one, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's interesting when Cradle kind of do a ballad because the other one that comes to mind is Thank God for the Suffering from Damnation and a Day.
Mm.
And you've got Danny doing these kind of semi-clean vocals on that, which I really like. And they haven't done that very much, so that was quite cool.
No. Yeah, even though it's like slower, I let them off because they haven't done that in a while.
Mm.
And actually, they pulled it off. I think it's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, a lot of the guitar work reminds me of Nymphetamine as well, like with the
Mm.
twin guitars.
Mhm.
I think they've really they're doing a lot of twin guitar harmonies and sort of thrashier riffs. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I must say I did prefer the sort of last few that they've done. So like Hammer of the Witches, Cryptoriana,
Yeah.
and Existence is Futile. All of those I did prefer to this one.
Mhm.
But I think eh, one
This
thing,
one's this one rather than like trying to improve on the last three
mm,
albums, it's almost just like they just did a sidestep. I think they've created something that's kind of almost equally as good as those
yeah,
in some ways, but
mm,
trying something slightly different. Which after those three albums and the change of guitarist
mm,
and keyboard player, I think that was the right thing to do rather than
yeah,
try and top those
yeah,
albums.
yeah, no, absolutely. It's I think it's quite concise as well. Like I think Cradle can have
Yeah.
a tendency to ramble a bit, and when I've seen and heard interviews recently, they've said that they were just trying to make a make an album of catchy songs and not bother
Yeah.
with interludes or intros or anything like that. So I think they've succeeded.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing them live again,
Yeah,
which
me too.
because we saw them at Damnation, didn't
We
we?
did. We did. We were both sober pit into them. That was great. And
Sober
then I
pitting.
I fell into you, not realizing it was you.
Yeah. And I thought I was
Uh,
the only sober in the village, but
yeah.
then
Oh
there
yeah.
you were.
Yeah. There I was. Yeah. Oh, and then half of the UK black metal scene watching them,
Yeah, after probably whinging about it
whinging on
beforehand.
mine. Yeah. 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 Um. Cool. So I've pretty much got through all of my planned questions, really. What have you been? Oh, and in fact, I've just had a thing saying that we're running out of time, but we can carry on.
Okay.
Um, I was going to ask you, what have you been listening to recently? Do you have any recommendations?
Well, Sale's latest album is my favorite
Mm,
of the year so far. Um, what have I been listening to? I've been trying to branch out a little bit because I drive for work
mm,
and the sun's been coming out a bit and the atmospheric black metal doesn't usually hit the
lend
spot.
itself.
So I've been listening to Greta Van Fleet
Oh,
of all
right, yeah.
things. And I
Mm,
just it's good to sing along to in the van. There's
yeah.
been some good power metal. There's this band called Dominum.
Mm,
It sounds like basically Powerwolf, but instead of about werewolves, it's about zombies. And it's just like super catchy, upbeat stuff. The new Cradle I've had on loads. Uh, I found this like proggy psychedelic stonery kind of band, which is
mm,
usually if I saw that description, I'd turn away. But they're called Cryptograph from
mm,
Norway, and
yeah.
I just really like that for some reason. The riffs and melodies on that are really cool. That's all I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah. No, I need to give the new say or sewer. I think it's like sewer, isn't it? The pronunciation.
Sur.
Yeah, yeah. I need to give that a go. I really like the Aura album and the
Yeah.
first one that they did as well, Roots.
Mm-hmm.
That's really
I
cool.
think Aura is like in my top 10 of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see why. Um, did you? I got to see them at Felfoot Wood in, I think it was like 2015 or something. It was one of the very early Blackwood gatherings, but that was just magical because they were playing stuff from Aura
Mm,
in Felfoot Wood, and I think it was like raining as well. It was just
nice.
perfect. Um, but yeah, have you got any gigs coming up, either that you're playing or going to?
Well, I don't know if you've seen, literally today, the lineup has been fully completed for, um, what's he calling it? One for Sorrow,
Yes,
which
yeah, I
is
saw that.
the all day event in Plymouth at the
Mm,
Junction. And so the headliner are Shores of Null from Italy, who
mm,
are like gothic doom black. Sometimes they remind me of Amorphis. They're quite a unique blend of all that kind of stuff. So they're
nice.
headlining, and then you've got like the Crawling.
Mm,
I think they're from Ireland.
yeah,
The Drowning from Wales, a death doom band. Pantheist,
yeah.
gothic doom, and then Offness,
Mm.
Cairns, AL Fielen. Have you seen this new band pop up?
No, I haven't.
They are like atmospheric black metal with, I'm sure, with female vocals as well as
Mm,
screaming and like a tiny, like folky kind of edge, if I remember rightly.
nice.
They're opening it, and it's brilliant. And that's the only thing that's announced. I mean, by the time this goes out, we, I mean, this. So what day is it now? Wednesday, as we're recording this.
Mm.
This Friday, we're supposed to play Cheltenham. As of this very minute, we're still playing it, but we might have to cancel because
Ah,
unfortunately our drummer's like screwed his back and he can't walk. So we're just waiting
shit.
to see if he's going to be able to do it or not.
Mm,
And we'll confirm either way at the end of this evening. So
yeah.
that's a shame because that's like my hometown basically.
Yeah.
But that's it. We have nothing else booked
No.
for a band, but gigs I'm going to. I'm seeing Bloody Wood tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's a
And
new album as well. I've been listening to a lot of.
okay. Yeah, Roscoe went to the Manchester date actually last night. I think he had
Yeah,
fun. I'll have to check.
yeah. I'm going to be doing a lot of jumping up and down, I'm sure.
Nice, nice. Oh, that sounds cool.
That's the thing with London. Like, there's so many gigs here, but like, I haven't got much money.
Yeah. Yeah. Similar with Manchester, really. And
so
as well, when you're playing gigs and you're needing to kind of stay over in places, you've kind of got to prioritize what you're going to because you want
mm,
to be able to do your own stuff as well.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, One for Sorrow looks really cool. I would consider making the trip and going, but our Jessica actually playing Manchester the same day.
Oh no,
Yeah, with Burial, Blood Countess, and Omega Throne. So yeah, looking forward
nice,
to that one.
nice one. Is that Rebellion or
Star and Garter,
Star
if
and
you've
Guard?
ever been to that one.
I've not been. I've heard of it though.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's a pub venue, but it's like a pub with an upstairs venue bit.
Right.
The sound's always really good. Um, Burial and Blood Countess are always awesome.
Mm.
I've seen Omega Throne as well, but it's been a little while.
Yeah, we did a gig with them in Bristol once. They were great. I think that was with Blood Countess as well.
Nice. Was that in what do you call it? That pub. I can't
Yeah,
remember
the
the name.
Griffin.
Griffin, that's
Yeah,
the one.
it's
Yeah,
basically the guy's living room. It's the tiniest venue you'll ever go to.
mate,
Have
the
you ever
amount.
been?
Yeah, we played it
You played it.
back in 2022 and no, 2023. It was just after I'd given up drinking, and the amount of alcohol-free beers he has, like
Oh, he's got brilliant ones.
it's so good. Like I
Mm.
discovered Mash Gang, which is the brewery I always plug. Um, but they were doing this cherry chocolate stout called Rain in Blood at the time, and I
Oh,
was on
wicked.
that most of the night. I was just like, "Yep, this is me sorted. I don't even miss alcohol slightly at
That's
the moment."
that's I think now is the best time to go sober if that's what people if anyone watching has been thinking about going sober.
Mm,
The range of non-alcoholic beers out there is huge. I remember
mm,
actually back in 2012 I gave up drinking for about 9 months, and I the only non-alcoholic option was Beck's Blue,
yeah,
which tastes like fart in a bottle. It's
yeah, it
horrible.
does. I've tried that one. It is not one I recommend.
No. So don't let that put you off. Like there's so many like really nice genuine ales and punk IPA, they do
Mm,
non-alcoholic stuff and stuff you can buy online. Like there's this one called Impossible Brew,
I've heard of that. Yeah,
really smooth, and they've got like nootropics in put into
yeah,
it, like ashwagandha and L-theanine and lion's mane mushrooms, and so you actually get like health benefits from that.
nice, fantastic. I think I think I did give that one a go, but unfortunately, it's got grapefruit in it, and with some meds I'm
Oh,
taking, I can't do grapefruit, unfortunately.
oh, that's a shame.
But I'd be up for giving it another try and just checking for ones that don't have grapefruit in.
Yeah.
For those
Hello.
listening, we took a short break, partially due to Zoom's technical limitations. But as you can see, I'm back in the North Pole here with Lee from Cistvaen. Yeah, so Lee, you were saying just then about nootropics and the nutritional benefits that you can get from some of these beers. That actually reminded me. I wanted to ask you a bit about diet because you mentioned that that was part of
Huge
wealth and
part.
Hellbeing and your well-being journey. I remember you mentioned is it the Mediterranean diet that you tend
Yeah.
to have now? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I lost half of the total amount of weight before I properly changed my diet. So just the running kind of just forces you to eat less
Mm,
because either you don't want to eat before you run, and I'm a big procrastinator, so I wouldn't eat all day until I did my run finally, and then I wouldn't have much of an appetite afterwards because when you run, it actually shuts down your digestive system uh, to direct the blood and resources to your limbs
mm,
and away from your digestive system. So then when you finish, you're not even that hungry. So I was just reducing the portions that I was eating at the time. So instead of eating two sharing family bags of Doritos for lunch, I was only eating one
mm,
sharing family Doritos bag. Um, and that was gradual. And then I met my now fiance, who happens to be Spanish,
mm,
and she's very slim. And I asked her in the early days, "Oh, what do you do for exercise to keep in shape?" And she said she did no exercise. And I was like, "What? How?"
yeah.
And she just told me about her diet, and she showed me the kinds of meals that she ate. And I just did not believe that anyone could eat like that
Mm,
every day because of my background of brown foods and takeaways and
yeah.
sugar. And I was like, well, surely this, you can't maintain this every day. And she's
Mm,
like, right, I challenge you, eat like this for 2 weeks and you will see a difference.
mm,
And I did. And I mean, I wouldn't have known about any of this if it wasn't for her. She showed me how to make salad interesting.
mm,
So in the UK, I guess if you were to go to a British cafe or something and asked for the salad,
mm.
or you get a side salad, it would be iceberg lettuce, tomato, cucumber.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what we all think of when someone says salad, right? But
mm,
her salads is like spinach leaves with tomato, cucumber, bits of cheese, bits of meat of some kind,
mm.
avocado, beetroot, radish, just all mixed in together with
Yeah.
olive oil. Olive oil is the most important thing. It's
Mm,
on everything. Um, and like parsley, garlic, salt, pepper, just all like tossed in the salad.
mm,
And I ate this for the first time, and it was delicious because of the mixture of flavors and textures and colors and the
mm,
dressing. And I was like, wow, I can eat as much of this as I want. And
mm.
so I just, because I kind of struggle with binging on things,
Yeah.
I could binge on this and it didn't matter. And then you serve it with like just some fried lamb chop or something, or pork chop. There you go.
Yeah.
No carbs, so no bread, no rice, no potatoes, um, no processed sugars, no processed meats,
Mm,
unless it's cured meats bought from Spain, of
yeah.
course.
Mm. Nice.
um, and it sounds like it's like, oh, I can come across like, oh, don't eat this, don't eat that, don't eat this, but
Mm,
there's so much actually that you can replace it with. So if you would, we make a dish that's like a carbonara, which
mm.
is usually served with spaghetti, right?
Yeah.
I think. And we've got this machine. It's a spiralizer, and you just
Mm.
feed courgettes into it,
Nice.
and it turns it into spirals, which is then called courgette spaghetti.
Nice.
And you serve your sauces on top of that. And once you've kind of got rid of the carbs for a couple of weeks, it's like your palate actually changes.
Mm.
I think them. I'm not sure about this. I might be bro science, but I think your taste buds actually change physically
Yeah.
based on what you're eating. And if you cut sugar out for a couple of weeks, you'll start to find things like pepper, like red peppers.
Red pepper.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's another ingredient of the salad, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Really like them.
You know, they're nice. They actually taste sweet
Yeah.
because you're not constantly like overloading your taste buds with like packets of Skittles like I used to.
Mm.
And now these things taste sweet. And so I've found a huge passion in cooking these kinds of foods with my partner. She taught me all these different meals, and then I went and found some of my own meals
Mm.
and brought those in. And we've got this kind of system where we bulk cook and freeze foods.
Yeah.
So I take a Tupperware of frozen. What did I have today? Just like this fish and broccoli bake,
Mm.
and then you microwave it, and you get loads of compliments in the staff room at work.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
great.
That sounds wonderful. Yeah, it's interesting what you say about making salads interesting because that's something I've been doing recently as well. Um, so I've been having like baked sweet potatoes. Like put a sweet potato in the microwave, 5 minutes, it's ready to eat. Have that with like spinach, red pepper, sweet corn, chickpeas. I've been getting like chicken tikka pieces as well, just having that with it. And that's like, you got your protein, you got your vitamins, and it tastes amazing, like really, really good. I want to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also, it's like what you said about salads in the UK. Like, buying one from a supermarket, even like the ones that you get as part of a meal deal, I'd,
Mm.
I'd get those and eat them at work, and I'd think, well, I could make something that's better than this that I enjoy more. And also, uh, after I've eaten the meal deal one, I'm hungry again 5 minutes later.
Yeah, that's
Like,
another thing. You just said something there that reminds me. She also taught me this thing. It's like if there's something that's kind of pre-made or pre-packaged, you can make that yourself
yeah,
at home. And then people argue like, "Oh, I haven't got the time to cook," or it's like they feel like cooking is a chore. And what I say to that is, if you cook something that's healthy, like what we've just described,
mm,
and you make an active effort during the process of literally, I know it sounds a bit weird if you haven't done something like this before, but the mindfulness is chopping the vegetables and kind of saying to yourself, the reason that you're doing this,
mm,
I'm doing this because I'm going to be good to myself and I'm going to be proud of myself for making this healthy choice
mm,
for my version of me tomorrow.
mm.
Tomorrow I'll be thankful that I did this.
Yeah, it's like an investment. Like you're putting the time and energy in now, but it's ultimately for something that you're gonna
Yeah.
thank yourself for.
Mm.
And also, I think there can be like an all or nothing mindset with it as well. Like,
Oh God, yeah.
yes, yes, okay, I have these sweet potato salads, but I still have takeaways as well. Like, I haven't completely stopped having takeaways or
Absolutely.
chocolate or what have you. But it just means that rather than reaching for, I don't know, a packet of crisps, then I'm just making different choices, and
Mhm.
I feel like I'm feeling better for it. Like I feel like I've got more energy. My sleep's better. Um, yeah, it's just having really positive
Yeah,
impacts.
you've got more energy because you're eating things that release the energy slowly over time.
Mm,
I think one of the worst things in the Western diet is like sugary cereals
yeah.
because do you remember the Shreddies adverts? They would
Mm.
say in big writing, keep hunger locked up till lunchtime.
Yeah.
What time is your lunchtime? 9 a.m. Because like
Yeah,
that, I'm
yeah.
hungry by 9 a.m. if I've eaten Shreddies because
Mm,
all of that is just nothing and just gets like mostly passed through the body. Not much of it is
mm,
actually nutritious and absorbed.
yeah.
And the body is still signaling to you, I actually still need nutrients.
Mm,
So it's signaling the hunger hormone. Um, this is what happened. Well, slightly not related, but I wanted to mention the sugar
mm,
cycle,
yeah.
um, the glucose cycle. So if you eat something like processed sugar, like a chocolate bar,
Mm,
you'll get a massive spike of glucose immediately. You might feel a boost of energy whilst
yeah.
that's being processed. And then your glucose levels start to deplete quite quickly. I think it's because your brain uses it up really,
Mm,
like your brain like runs on it. And then because the brain thinks it needs it and it can
mm.
notice that it's going down, it starts to signal to you from your brain that, oh, we're running out of glucose. We need to find some more
Need
glucose.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why you can binge on sugary things like just, well, I can all day.
I can and
I
do.
can eat, those, there's like celebrations
Yeah.
tins at Christmas. I can have the whole thing.
Yeah.
So when I learned that that's what's happening, I was able to identify that I'm not hungry.
Mm,
That's not a hunger signal. That is
no.
the brain panicking because the level of glucose is decreasing.
Mm.
Um,
I think it's also like an evolutionary thing as well, because from when we were hunter gatherers, if you found something that was sweet and lots of it, you go, right,
mm,
need to eat it all now before
yeah.
somebody else or something else gets it. So we've still got the hunter gatherer brain, but
Mm,
I'm just doing it with a fucking block of Tony's chocolonely, which I really shouldn't do. But yeah, I'm
no.
struggle to control myself around those.
Yeah. It's I find sugar. In fact, I'm on day 8, no sugar
Nice.
today.
Yeah.
Once you get past the first few days of feeling like, a caffeine crash, you
Yeah.
kind of feel like that for the first few days. Um, it is honestly, both of us have given up alcohol, right?
Mm, yeah.
That was a million times easier, in my opinion, to give up
Mm,
alcohol than it was to give up sugar because there was no physical addiction to the
mm,
alcohol for me. It
yeah.
was all like mental,
Mental.
psychological, social. But with sugar, I feel like I need it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I'm getting that as well. And it is something I'm making a conscious effort to
Mm.
cut down on. There's actually a book that my friend has called, I think it's The Sweet Poison Quit Plan. And I'm wanting to read that because that's going into exactly what you're saying about the sugar cycle and the negative effects that it can have on you. I mean,
Mm.
for myself, I know one of the effects that it has on me is that I'm still gaining weight, even though I'm going to the gym and going for runs. And I
Yeah.
know why it is. It's because
Mm.
I'm eating chocolate and like sugary things. So
Mhm.
if I get a handle on that, then I think I'll see much better results.
Yeah. As soon as that stuff goes in your body and you don't use it, it gets transformed into fat and stored.
Yeah.
So I can eat loads of chocolate because I'm running a lot,
Yeah.
but there's other like health like it's not just not good. I mean, there's
No.
you can go even a bit further into the more like the actual chemicals.
Mm,
I came up with this thing. If you're looking at a packet on the shelf, ask yourself, is it for your health
mm.
or for the shelf?
Ooh, it's a good way to put
Because
it.
if you pick up a packet and it has a massive list of ingredients on the back, read through them. And if you don't know what 75% of them even mean, then
Mm,
those things, that's just to preserve its shelf life.
mm,
And God knows what the hell those things are or what they're
yeah.
doing to your body. Um, yeah, the best foods have no ingredients list
Mm,
because it literally is the thing that it just is in your hand, like a
yeah.
broccoli.
Red pepper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I became super passionate about food. And
Mm,
sometimes people are like, oh, isn't it boring eating just vegetables and salads and stuff like that? And I'm like, I've never been more interested in food in my whole life.
yeah.
Um, just I don't know how many vegetables there are. I guess you could name 20. And then the same
Yeah.
with fruits and
Mm,
salad items. And then there's all the different kinds of meats and the different ways you can cook them and different combinations and
yeah.
different sauces that are keto friendly. So you mentioned earlier that I said Mediterranean diet.
Mm,
And that's because the keto diet is basically the sort of same, but you wouldn't be able to eat fruits either
right.
because they do contain sugar,
Mm,
but it's like a different type of sugar that breaks down differently. I can't remember the science, but I
yeah.
allow myself fruit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fruit and Greek yogurt are. I don't even need ice cream anymore. Frozen
Mm,
blueberries, banana, bit of honey I do allow,
nice.
bit of peanut butter
Mm,
in a yogurt. Brilliant.
lovely.
There's just so much out. Every time someone
Yeah.
comes over and we give them food, they're always like, "Wow, we always eat so well when we come here."
Nice.
So yeah, it's really interesting. Just take an interest,
Mm,
just and
uh,
then make it. You've got to make it fun. You
yeah.
can't
Exactly.
treat it like a chore because it's just that's the thing about being a metalhead. I feel like running is brilliant because it's a perfect opportunity for me to listen to music in
Yeah.
full, uninterrupted. Cooking, cleaning, you just stick your headphones on, get lost in an
Mm,
album. Before you know it, you've finished cooking.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's kind of our superpower is that we are passionate about music, and if you take the music with you on the
Mm,
journey of health and well-being, you'll be fine.
yeah. It can help motivate you definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and something else that you've touched on in Wealth and Hellbeing as well is that it can help you to enjoy the music. So, like, the amount of gigs that I went to in the past when I was drinking, and I can't really remember them now, or like
Yeah.
my memories of them are very fuzzy. Whereas now it's like I feel like I'm fully appreciating the performance, I'm fully engaged in it, I remember it.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny actually. There's certain there's some bands where I'll notice little mistakes and things that I definitely wouldn't have noticed in the past. Like, and yeah, I just think my perception of it all must have just been so changed by alcohol, really. Um, but yeah, like more endurance at gigs as well. Although one thing that I do struggle with these days is like all days,
Mm.
um, because I just get tired
Well,
more
this is
quickly now.
this is exactly the kind of thing I want to do on the Wealth and Hellbeing channel. Is you've got to give someone a reason to want to improve their health that isn't just image
Mm,
or or whatever. There's actually like a reason to improve your health. And I don't know, let's say that there's a woman that's just found out that they're pregnant.
mm,
You want them to go and do exercises that are going to strengthen their back so that when they are large, they can support that weight. And then
yeah.
there's actually like a function to the exercise. So I wanted to like come up with reasons that metalheads should exercise. And that's one
Mm,
of them is that you would improve your stamina
mm,
at gigs and festivals. It's like, how many times have you been to an all day or a damnation or a festival or something, and your feet are killing you, your
yeah.
back is killing you, or you went into one mosh pit and now you're like wheezing, holding your knees like bent over. Like I remember back 2016, I think Corpaclani toured with Sabaton.
Mm.
I think it was around then, and I was in the jig pit, and I could last like 2 songs before I was wheezing and completely out of breath.
Mm.
And I had to take a break, and then I'd go back in. Contrast that with Corporate Kleiny headlining the second stage at Bloodstock last year. I was jigging around the whole time, sober,
Nice.
and thanks to my running over the years, my cardiovascular fitness was allowing me to just keep going. And that's what I used to rely on the alcohol to do. The alcohol would keep
Mm.
me
Yeah.
going. And now I'm keeping myself going. That was one of the most awesome and Corporate Kleiny is one of those bands that sing about alcohol
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
all the time. And I
Mm.
was like, giving up alcohol, am I going to enjoy this
Mm.
type of thing anymore? And I still enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. I came out of that feeling really kind of proud of myself, to be honest, because
Good.
I was hugely into folk metal, and that's probably got the biggest drinking culture behind it,
Yeah.
with all the drinking horns and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. I immediately thought of drinking horns.
I've still got mine knocking about
Yeah.
somewhere.
I'm sure I've got one somewhere as well.
It's right here. Look at the size of
Nice. Oh, that's cool.
that. I've not used that in a long time.
No, no.
But I thought giving up alcohol, I would then give up my passion for folk metal, but it
Mm.
didn't. It didn't go away, and if anything, I enjoyed it more
No, exactly.
because I remembered it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I realised as well that when we saw Cradle at Damnation last November, that was my first time seeing Cradle sober,
Oh,
even
really?
though, yeah, yeah. So I'd seen them, I think, 4 times before, but every time I was drinking. And that was the first time I'd seen them not drinking. And
Mm.
I probably enjoyed it. Well, I enjoyed it at least as much, possibly more, and I can remember all of it as well. So,
Like
yeah.
just the personal achievement of watching one of your favorite bands sober
Mm.
adds to the reasons that you enjoyed it.
Exactly.
Every time you go out and go to a gig sober, you prove to yourself you can do it.
Yeah. The turning point for me, I think, with going to gigs and actually playing gigs sober was that Bristol gig that I told you about. Because that was the first gig that I'd played in a different town and staying over sober. And I was thinking, oh God, can I do this? Like, there's stage nerves. There's also the fact that you're out with your bandmates and they're drinking, and also staying the night,
Mm.
and we're carrying on the party. But I didn't drink, and I told the guys what I was doing. They've all been really supportive. Everybody in Arjesk has
Yeah.
been super supportive of that. Um, some of them actually have got into non-alc beers themselves because I've been drinking them. Um, but yeah, like playing that gig and then staying over and also staying out with the guys and still partying with them and enjoying their
Yeah.
company. Because
Mm.
like something else I find as well is like if I enjoy somebody's company, then even if they're drinking and I'm not, I still enjoy their company.
Mm.
So I didn't feel I was missing out there. I still had a really good time with them.
I don't know if do you get this like secondhand drunk if
Yeah, I
you're hanging
do.
out with
Yeah,
people that are drinking
I think it's to do
because
with the
they start
energy.
to, yeah, their energy rubs off on you a bit, and then you kind of remember what it was like to be tipsy, and then
Yeah,
kind of act a little bit, you know.
yeah. I mean, there's something to be said for you absorbing the energy of the room that you're in. So if people are kind of a bit louder and a bit more outgoing, then you're more likely to mirror that. And then that can kind of lead you to feel drunk. So I
Mm.
I, I felt drunk after Cradle and Damnation just because of what a great time I had. And I actually went back to a friend's place afterwards, who lived not far away, and ended up staying there until like 4 in the morning. And
Really?
yeah, yeah, just having like cups of tea, but cups of tea and blasting music and playing with his dogs. He had two Alsatians
Excellent.
who he did not the hour at all. Um,
No, yeah, it's surprising how much stamina you still have.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
31.
31. So I'm 34. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, I thought you were a bit older. I didn't think there was much in it. Um, but yeah, this has been really fun. I'm thinking it's kind of drawing to a natural close.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, is there any final words that you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Um, I'd say I think people need to take their health seriously.
Mm.
Like make it a priority, make it a pillar of your life, like a value. I lived pretty much most of my life up to the age of sort of 29 without a single regard for my own health. Um, both with the amount of alcohol I drank and the food I was eating. And then if you get drunk off and you engage in risky behavior and you can get yourself in sort of
Yeah,
trouble, and that's not good for not only you but the people around you.
yeah,
I was quite self-absorbed, selfish back then.
yeah.
Um, didn't realize my behavior was having such a bad effect on those around me as well as myself.
Mm.
Um, because without your health, you can't, you don't have anything else. Just what if anyone's whoever's watching, think of something you really care about. I know for me and you, it'd be our bands.
Mm.
Really care about the band. Without your health, you can't play guitar.
No.
You can't show up to a gig to play for your fans.
Mm.
It always starts with your health,
Yeah,
and then you've got to build everything else from there. So yeah, if you have a foundation of good health, then you can achieve other things. And if you look after your physical health through diet and exercise as well, the mental health just kind of lifts.
follows.
Yeah,
What?
you don't even have
Yeah.
to specifically focus on the mental health. It just kind of lifts. I mean, you can as well as exercise and stuff. I would probably say not to rely on medication,
Mm.
but use it as a tool if needed.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, yeah, but I realise we've not even really touched on mental health. That's a whole other, kind of can of worms.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say in terms of mental health, exercise can be hugely helpful for that as well. Like the dopamine that you can get
You
from going
if you
on a
look
run.
at it like I come from a scientific background, a degree in zoology. So like when I found out that when you run, your body and brain actually releases endorphins.
Mm.
They're created from the act of running. It just made sense to me. I was like, oh, mental health is a physical phenomenon
Yeah,
to a certain extent. And I mean, I've got an extreme opinion. My opinion is it is a physical phenomenon. Endorphins are created through the activity that you do. The food that you eat physically is used as the nutrition benefits your mental health
mm.
because you get the vitamins and things that you need for the good mental health to take place. It's like without the actual resources to build the chemicals that make you feel good, where's it going to
Yeah.
get it from? It's not just going to magically happen.
Mm.
So yeah, and then I linked that to, like you said earlier, we've got this primitive brain.
Mm.
Hunter gatherers, they were built to run, to
Yeah.
outrun their prey for long distances. So I just feel like so naturally at one with the reason that's why there's a book called Born to Run,
All
and
right.
I just really believe that we were born to run long distances. uh, and then yeah, then things start to harmonize a lot more when
Mm.
you move.
Yeah.
And that's my big fumbled last words.
No, it's completely agree with everything that you've said there, and yeah, in terms of using medication as a tool as well, like I do kind of think if you're struggling with your mental health, definitely make sure that you're eating well, you're getting enough sleep, you're doing regular exercise. If all of those things, if you've covered all of those things and you're still not feeling good,
Mm.
then maybe go down the medication route. But I mean, I'll be open. I take medication myself for depression and anxiety, but I do wish that I'd focused on my health and well-being earlier, um, because I think we can kind of, I think these things can be at times overprescribed,
I think so.
rather
That's
than
true.
saying, rather than tackling these what can be root causes.
Yeah, I think that's true. Maybe you can set that a goal, maybe to come off of those
Mm,
medications and see how you
yeah.
feel now that you're incorporating this lifestyle.
Yeah, I've actually reduced quite a lot since I've given up drinking and been exercising more. I've managed to reduce quite a bit. Like not completely give them up just yet, but
Yeah.
they're much lower dose than they were.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Um,
wise to just suddenly stop them anyway.
no, not at all.
They have withdrawal
Mm.
symptoms, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and you should, anybody listening, absolutely seek the advice of a
Yeah, don't
medical
listen to us.
professional. Yeah, yeah, don't just go, oh no, the black metal guys told me to stop taking. No, that's not that's not what we're doing here. Yeah, no, seek medical advice, and but just view it as a tool, and it's another tool in your toolbox. It's not the be all and end all.
Hmm.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I think we will leave it there. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been a lot of fun.
Oh, it's been awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for allowing me to waffle on.
No,
I need to work on being
absolutely.
more concise.
No, absolutely. No, it's been great.
All right,
Yeah.
nice one.
Sure, I'll see you soon. Take care,
Yeah,
mate.
cheers, Matt. Take care. Bye
Cheers.
bye.
Bye.